All right. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to another video. In today's video, we'll be discussing more about market structure type things instead of how the things on MetaTrader 5 work. So, in today's video, we'll be discussing time frame and trend. So, let's get straight into it. Before I start, we get first going to discuss trend, and we have two types of trends. We have what we call an uptrend and we have what we call a downtrend. Other word for uptrend is a buying trend or a bullish trend. If you ever hear the term bullish, it means buy. And we also get what we call a downtrend, which in other words, a sell trend or a bearish trend. So bearish means sell and bullish means buy. If you ever come across those terms, which you are likely to come across if you are in a trading environment. So we have these two types of trends, but how are these trends important to us and how can we use it to our advantage? So if we were for example to be in an uptrend like I was speaking about earlier, an uptrend, it's a buying trend, a bullish trend. So it's in the name we're buying. So if you are in an uptrend, you'd most likely want to look for your buys, of course, because it's a trend and the trend is most likely to continue. So that is why when we are in our uptrend, we look for our buys, and when we are in our sell trend, or our downtrend, we will look for our sells. So if you guys look on my screen that I have here, there is currently an uptrend in front of me, and I'm going to show you guys now how to identify an uptrend. So to make things clearer for you guys, I have this picture. I'm going to show you guys now. So on my left here, I have what we call the uptrend, and on my right, I have what we call the downtrend. So our uptrend here on my left, it consists of our low, then our higher high, our higher low, our higher high, our higher low, and then our higher high again. So for the sell, for identifying a downtrend, it's just the opposite. You have your high, then your lower low, your lower high, your lower low, your lower high, and then your lower low. So yeah, that is how we identify our trend. And once again, the trend is important for us because if we're going in an uptrend, we're gonna look for our buys because the buying power is most likely gonna be stronger. And then if we are in our downtrend, we're of course gonna look for our sells. Okay, over now to time frame. Because trend and time frame can also go hand in hand in the way that on the higher time frames you can look for how you're trending and basically the direction that you have maybe for the day or whatever. You guys will understand now the more I get into it. So now, time frame. If you guys can look top left, there's something that says M1. And that basically stands for 1 minute. And we are currently on the 1 minute time frame. As you guys can see there on the top left, it says M1. So now on the 1 minute time frame, if you're on the chart that I'm currently am now, a 1 minute time frame, it basically just means you get a candle every minute. So if you guys want to go onto higher time frames, all you're gonna have to do is click on that M1 that is top left. I'm gonna go ahead and click on it now, and then the rest of the time frames will pop up. So now you guys may be wondering, how is time frame important to us and things like that. So as you guys can see here, here's multiple time frames. Here's the 5 minute time frame, here's a 15 minute, 30 minute, and there's basically is a time frame for whatever time you guys want to. There's even seconds time frame. I'm not sure if it's 1 year though. Okay, it's not. But there's 1 minute time frame, is 2 minute, 3 minute, all types of time frames. Yeah. But yeah, basically the if you switch over to the 5 minute, just like the 1 minute, but instead now it's gonna be a candle every 5 minutes. Same way if you go into the 15 minute, it's gonna be a candle every 15 minutes. So now how can you guys use time frame to your advantage? Like I was speaking about earlier, if we go back to trend, you can use these time frames to identify a trend that you can have for the day. So let's say we go on to the high time frames like a daily or stuff like that, or like the 4 hour time frame. These are what we call the higher time frames. If you guys look on these time frames, you can see that it's going in a strong uptrend, and that we most likely will be looking for buys. So the higher time frames we use for identifying direction for the day, things like that. And the lower time frames we usually use for our entries, things like that. Because on the lower time frames we'd get that more accurate entries. On the higher time frame we just look for our direction and things like that for the day or however long you're trading. Of course, if you're gonna want to look for your direction for the day, if you're day trading, of course, and if you maybe swing trading or things like that, you would of course use the even higher time frames that we have over there. But yeah, the time frames are also used for identifying things like fair value gaps. I'm not going to get too deep into fair value gaps with you guys yet because we're still early in this beginner guide, and I'd most likely teach it further down the road. But if you guys do not know yet what a fair value gap is, it's basically a 3 candle formation where the first candlestick's wick does not overlap the third candlestick's wick. I'm just going to draw a fair value gap here for you guys as well. I have an fair value gap identified here on the 5 minute time frame. Just throw it nice for you guys there. So if you guys can see, I've drew my fair value gap there. And there's the wick of my first candle, and there's the wick of my third candle. As you guys can see here, we were buying on Friday, we've been buying, we were buying up strong. So then we had this fair value gap for market always comes back into these fair value gaps. You'll see it every day on the 5 minute time frame. So as you can see here, we formed this fair value gap. We came back into the fair value gap, and then we continued buying. Basically, the zone is where you can look for it to respect, and then after it respects, you have entered a buy here, nice little buy, which we are actually in at the moment. We bought from that fair value gap. Me and Azim are currently in a buys actually from that fair value gap, and we will be looking for a gap up on Monday. But yeah, that is basically how you draw your fair value gap. I'll also show you guys in a future video how to use these drawing tools. Then you guys will be able to draw your fair value gaps, your lines like I have here as well. You can use this to mark out your highs, mark out your lows, things like that. But yeah, that concludes this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one where I show you guys how to use these drawing tools.